and then run along the edge of the lakeshore down to work on Sunset. So that's probably about as long a haul as we've had to work on a project.
Oh, really?
Probably, yeah.
Quite a distance.
Yeah, but you know, you do what you can. Right there at the at Sunset, the houses are too close together, and where there's an open space, there's a big septic field there, so you can't go over that. And then when you get down to the lakeshore, it's very steep, and there's not a lot of room between the lakeshore and the river, so that's a problem. Just to get to the site that we're talking about working, we might actually have to cut off the ends of 2 permanently installed docks and re-weld them on later when we're done.
Oh.
Sometimes the worst problem in these sites is just getting access to them, because the so many of the lots around the edges of these lakes are developed on 60 or 70 foot lots instead of larger ones. The houses are packed together, and it's just hard to get down there to the lakefront.
They're working on. They're going over there to work on.
Okay.
So we have a quorum. So
Joe, if you're ready, it's 4 o'clock, I guess.
Yeah.
yes, it is. I'm ready to go. We'll call this meeting to order at 4:01 p.m. And then we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yep.
I had the flag up on my screen at one point.
I know what it looks like.
Oh, that's not it.
That's not it. That's
Oh,
You're like me, zooming around on that stuff.
all right. So here it is.
Okay.
You guys ready?
Yeah.
oh, there it is.
All right. You want to unmute?
The flag of the United
I
States.
pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag
of the United States
States
of
of
America
America.
and to the
the
flag
republic which stands
Which stands
one nation under God, indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty and justice.
justice for all.
Yay.
like saying the Lord's Prayer.
Okay, who do we all have here today?
Everybody's here but Bill.
Okay, everybody.
Okay, Jeanette's there. Okay.
Mm.
So do you want
All
to go through and have everyone say where they're at? Jeanette? Oh, Jeanette's muted.
Right. She's traveling right now, so she's on an iPad.
Okay.
Hi,
There
Hi.
she is.
I am driving home, so I'm on M30 in Edenville Township. My son's holding the iPad.
Oh,
Okay.
Mike Wood.
I'm in Cape Coral, Florida.
Oh, wow. Carl? Whoop. Not hearing you, Carl. Nope, not hearing you. It doesn't look like you're muted either.
No, you're not muted.
Okay. I'll just say, are you at home? He's at home.
Yeah, thumb up.
And I am at the Drain Commissioner's office. And Bill Gibo is absent today.
Okay.
But we do have a quorum.
Let's try that. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Must have switched to a Verizon phone.
Can you hear me now? Yeah. I just unplugged my little speaker box here. It was
Okay.
plugged up the wrong port.
We want to approve the agenda. Now, the agenda that was sent out, we made a couple of updates. We added the Pledge of Allegiance to it, and we added the approval of agenda. So those are the only two items that you wouldn't have seen in the packet. So can I make a motion to approve this agenda? Do you guys see the agenda on the screen?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
Or
Who is
it'll be
that?
second. So it's motion by Joe and second by Carl.
Okay.
Motion by Carl, seconded by Joe.
All right.
Motion by Carl,
All right.
by Joe.
He asked for the motion.
All right, yeah. Okay, next on the agenda is we have our at-large term expired. And so we want to make a motion to reappoint Bill Gibo for another 4-year term.
I'll
Okay,
make that motion.
okay, and before we second that, I have, I used to have an email up for him. No line?
Not seeing it.
Not seeing the letter. Well, anyway, we received the letter from Mr. Gibo saying that he wants to serve again another term. So,
It's on another tab at the top of your screen.
oh yes, there it is.
Yeah.
There we go.
There we go.
Gotta love
All right.
technology.
All right, seeing that, I would support his nomination for that.
So we have a second? Is that
Yep.
second? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right,
Anyone opposed? None opposed?
Okay.
Let me get back to my agenda. And so now we want to approve, or no, we want to have the election of officers. I guess last year, officers were not reelected, so I don't know what you guys, if you want them to carry forward, or do we want to reelect for this year? You want to keep them the same as they were? I believe, Mike, you weren't the secretary last year, were you?
Yes.
yeah, I've been the secretary for a few years now.
Okay,
I think you're doing a fine job as secretary, Mike, and I think we ought to keep you.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that.
Stay with the same slate.
so same slate as before, Drain Commissioner as chairman? And-
Joe is chairman and me as secretary. That's pretty much it.
Okay. All right, so can I make a motion to make the Drain Commissioner the chairman and treasurer and Mike Wood the secretary?
I'll make that motion.
Who
Carl
made that?
Hammond. Carl Hammond.
And I'll support it.
Okay.
Jeanette, a second? Okay,
And Jeanette supported.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Hearing none? It passes?
Yay.
We like simple.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see.
And the approval of minutes. I think we've all had plenty of time to read the minutes from August. Anyone want to make a motion to approve the minutes from August 2020?
I'll make
I'm
that motion.
sorry. I didn't read them. I'm sorry, I'm way late on this, but did we note in there, Carl, the 10,000 limit? Because I know we said that at our last meeting, but someone said it wasn't in the minutes.
I don't see it in the minutes, but yes, we did discuss it, and that's what we stated. I don't know if Doug didn't put it in or if Mike missed it. I don't know, Mike, did you miss it? We talked about it, or were you on vacation that day?
No, I was there.
It was
Problem was
Probably
I
in
was,
Florida.
no, I was there. Problem, my connection was dumping in and
Yeah.
out.
Oh, that's right. But yeah, we talked about the $10,000.
I know we talked about them. I just never caught whether it was a formal motion or not.
I thought it was. Jeanette, can you verify that?
Yeah, I thought it was too, but it's probably not a big deal since we're meeting today. We could just,
Make another
not-
motion.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
redo
yeah,
it today.
I do agree with you. I have a suggestion for that today also. So,
Okay.
Carl, you've made a motion to approve the minutes. Janet?
Yes.
If there's no changes to them, Jeanette, are you a second? Or do you want change?
Yes. Yeah, that's fine.
All right, so we'll definitely be talking about that today.
right.
All right, so I have Carl and Jeanette as the two for the approve the minutes. Go ahead, Joe.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Hearing
Oh, yes.
none, passes, motion passes. Financial report. I'm going to have Norma go through the financial report, and then we'll make a motion to file and receive and file.
Find the financial report. It's here somewhere on my,
Well,
Oh, you have it there?
On my screen, right here.
There it is.
yes.
Okay.
Okay. There's cash at $214,248.88 in the account. And it sounds like the lakes aren't going to be back for a while. And we have to look at what expenses for the next, 5 years.
Here's a look at some of the past.
We've really not had any expenses
Yeah, I'm not-
since last year.
Correct.
No, we shouldn't have.
Well, we continue to have the domain
Right.
Yeah.
charges, which is about $3,000 per year.
Well, we have that on the agenda. We'll be discussing that shortly.
Yep.
Oh, domain retention costs. I got you.
So as of today, we have 214,000
14, correct.
even, or is there some change?
214, you have to scroll back up, Joe.
248 and some
214,
way back.
way to the very beginning. Yeah,
Right there.
well, yeah, 214, 248, 88.
All right. I'd make the motion to receive and file a financial report.
I'll second that motion.
All right.
All in favor? Say aye.
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 Those opposed? No? Hearing none, motion passes. All right, so
Yeah, so when I got they sent me, I didn't know I needed a new license.
stop sharing that.
But they sent me a new one.
Correspondence, incoming. Norma, do you have anything to report?
No, we just have under new business for the Four Lakes Task Force. That was the only incoming, but it's under new business.
Okay,
That's the only correspondence I have also is the letter, everything I shared with the board from the Four Lakes.
okay. Anything outgoing?
No outgoing.
All right, so we'll move, and Jeanette looks like she's home.
Yay.
So now we will look to old business, and I think we make a motion first and then discuss.
No.
No, we can discuss it, I think, without a motion.
Okay.
Right.
I can tell you honestly, I see no reason to continue with the website.
No.
I agree with that.
I have,
Wasn't there another reason? Wasn't there what? I'm sorry. I'm just trying to refresh my memory. What's
Was
that
to keep-
gentleman's name that always speaks to us?
Paul,
Yes.
the domain fees were just to keep the domain, not to keep the website going, but it would hold our place so that when the lakes came back up, we could start putting it back out there again and not lose that domain.
Oh
We're-
yeah.
We're not sure when that's gonna be.
Right, and if they're looking at 5 years from now, and you're paying
Minimum.
$3,000 a year, that gets pretty expensive just to hold the place.
Yeah.
Right.
right. And we were using both places. We were using the County Drain Commission website and the Sanford Lake domain that we had also.
Correct.
So if we're still here 5 years from now, we do have options.
Right,
So-
I mean, we'll always have the website on the Drain Commissioners page.
Right,
That'll always be
that's what
there
I
because we maintain that here
Yep,
in
yep.
our office, so we'll always have that.
So it'd be my motion to discontinue the domain, what do we call it? The Sanford Lake Improvement Board domain.
Domain.
I would agree with that, Mike, because that's a lot of money to waste, and we don't have a target date for the lakes to be back. So
I think,
yeah,
And then Dave.
Dave?
I've just got a quick question here. I'm surprised to hear that it's going to cost you $3,000 to hold on to, just to hold on to a domain, not
Yes.
website maintenance. The other websites I'm familiar with, that I deal with, I mean, the domain retention costs are a lot less than that. I'm just wondering who you get it through.
Well, we were going through Paul
Well,
from Progressive, and he did say it would be a nominal fee, but then when he came back, because we agreed to do that, then he came back at 3,000 a year. It's like, ooh,
Well, Progressive A&E, they call themselves, was going to handle it for us, and that was their cost to us to take care of it. So I'm not sure, at least that's my understanding what he told us.
So that's management of the site as well, not just,
right,
I thought so,
It's
but I
got to
could
be.
be off.
right, Yeah.
Any way we look at it, it's too much.
right. When we don't
My
have really
opinion.
anything to put out there.
But
I
what I'm seeing in
really
domain
think-
retention
I
fees is more
really-
like $15 a year.
Well,
See, I really think that 3,000 includes something else. And I'm just not coming up with it, but we can ask Paul because I don't believe it's just domain retention. There's something else in that cost. I just don't remember what it is. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Well, even if it is a maintenance fee on it, we have no maintenance to be feed.
Right.
Because
There's nothing to
we're
put
gonna
out
be
there to
basically
maintain
inactive for the next,
Right.
well, foreseeable future.
Yeah.
So I don't think, in my opinion, I agree with Mike. I don't think we should be spending $3,000 just to have a domain name and whatever else might go along with that, because we're not gonna be utilizing it. That's just my position.
So my thought on this was that we utilize the Drain Commission website for any business to deal with the Sanford Lake Improvement Board, which is under the 301 Act, we have to go through the Drain Commission, so.
Correct, yeah.
But when we hired Progressive P&E, they took care of that website, part of their costs, and them handling it for us. So
Right.
up until then, they took, you never seen a cost for the website from them.
And now we do.
Yeah, now that they're not doing any more work for us, yeah, there was a cost, so.
Yeah, I agree. If it's just for a website, then there's no need for it. But when we go back to Paul and cancel, I guess he'll tell us if there was something else in there. But for the sake of we don't meet very often, I'm good with letting it go too. I just really thought there was something else in there besides the website, because I can't imagine we'd agree to 3,000 if it was just the website. But maybe.
Yeah, like he told us, it'd be just a nominal fee and then it come back at 3,000
Right.
for some reason.
Yeah, his idea nominal and my idea nominal is a lot different.
So it was my motion to discontinue. Carl, was that your support of that?
Yes, I second that, Mike, yes.
All right, and then we're into discussion, so.
Well, in your packet was a copy of the contract. In your packet I sent.
All right. I got it in here somewhere then.
And it's for maintenance and to keep that domain name, but there's really no maintenance going on.
That's what I was just gonna
There
say.
you go.
There's no maintenance that's gonna be needed.
It's annual maintenance of the Sanford Lake Improvement Board website.
All right.
I would agree to discontinue that contract and absolve it.
Well, that's up. Whenever Joe's ready, unless there's any more discussion.
Any other discussion on it? Okay, we have a motion and a second to discontinue basically the contract with Progressive and forego any costs. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Uh,
Hi.
Those opposed? Anyone opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. And then that moves us to some new business. Let me get back up to the top.
Yeah, because I was supposed to go down to Indiana over spring break this past week, but
New business. Portland Task Force has requested some funds. And it was kind of open-ended. I think it sounded like it could be more than what is currently proposed. But I think the discussion around that before we say yes, no on that is how much money do we want to have left in the fund, in the fund balance, without paying $3,000 a year going forward. What are the needs of this organization?
Well, Dave's with us. He can explain that, but a big but was it was under my opinion, and anybody else join in here, it's not just me talking. I would commit 200,000 of our funds to the Four Lakes Task Force stabilization and leave the 14,000 set aside for future use. That is just my opinion. Now, they're not asking for the full 200,000, as you can see in the request. But that is kind of the route that I was looking at going.
Well, didn't we discussed this, Mike, way back, and I think the last time of the meeting, we wanted to just make sure that, first of all, we could do it, which we did.
Yep.
And we went through that.
Yep.
But the second thing was we wanted to make sure that we had enough funds available left over that we could reinitiate the SLIB when the lakes come back, so we could gear back up, because we knew
Yes.
that there would be something there. So I don't know if we set a rough figure of $10,000 was just a
Yes.
rough figure, if I remember correctly. So we had something to start back up with. So what you're proposing seems to fall into that same line of what we already discussed.
Yeah, that's why that's kind of the way when Jeanette pointed out exactly, we did talk about at the last meeting, the $10,000.
Right.
So, the requests, actually, if we looked at the full request from the Four Lakes Task Force at this time is under the 200,000. So we're not technically committing, spending every dime yet. But,
Well, isn't it, Mike, if they have a special project, they're gonna have to have some matching funds, and wouldn't it be nice to have that there so they knew, okay, we have these funds that we could bring to the table for your match?
yes.
Is that what you're thinking too?
Yes, Dave's with us here, so
there's Dave.
I asked him to be here today and explain. He sent me, and I thought I shared them, and I thought I kept track of them.
It's on the screen.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now. Yep.
All right, so we're looking approximately down there that 155,000, but he has a breakdown in the sheets here, and so do I. There's some other costs there. That 155 is for the project, and then there's some culverts down there. So even with that 155 and that 16, we're still under the 200,000 I'm referring to.
Right.
So, it's my idea that, there could be a few more costs come in there, say it bumps up another $6,000-7,000, as if any of you know, and Joe knows this, I'm sure, these bids never come in where you think they're going to.
Never.
So, just to be a little bit on the safe side, that's kind of my idea. I'm not making that motion yet, but I'm putting it out there that we set that anything over the 200,000 aside for us, and we commit that. And the way they've been doing this up in Wixom, and I'll let Dave talk here in a second, is that when a cost comes in, they send an official request for the money. And in this point, it'll go to the Drain Commission, and it'll spell out what its project it is and what it's for and the amount. Only when the project's done do they do that, and they need the money. They don't do it in advance. And then they cut a check. In other words, Norma would cut a check to Four Lakes for that amount. So technically, the money sits in our account until they bill us.
Okay.
So, but, let me get Dave in on this. Dave, you here with me?
Oh, yes, I'm absolutely here.
Okay, so I explained, you sent me a letter that showed how you're paying it up on, in Edenville Township.
Edenville Township, yep.
So go ahead and tell us how that works up there.
Okay, so I just met with Edenville Township last week with our first two invoices. The folks on Edenville Township Board wanted me to bring them invoices and some other supporting information like the names, addresses, and tax ID numbers of the property owners whose property we were going to do these projects upon. And so I come in with an invoice. I ask them the same thing I'm asking of you. We are working these projects in cooperation with the Natural Resource Conservation Service, the NRCS as we call them. NRCS pays 75% of the construction costs. The task force has got to come up with the other 25%. When I looked at all the projects we had to do on Sanford Lake and Wixom Lake, and the amount of money the state of Michigan gave the task force to pay that 25%, we were way short. And so we set up a program where we asked the property owners around each of those lakes to pay 25% of the cost, their share of 25% of the cost for improving the lake bottom in front of their property to protect it, or $5,000, whichever was less. And in my request, you'll see we've got some properties where the 25% cost is less than $5,000 and some where it was more. we're doing that on Wixom Lake, on Sanford Lake, and on both Sanford Lake in Edenville Township and in Jerome Township. I got opinions back from the chairs of the township boards at the time that they didn't want to see the people affected by these problems having to take money out of their own pockets. So I'm asking instead to get those contributions we would have asked for from the homeowners, to get those from the weed improvement or the weed control funds in either Edenville Township or Jerome Township. So that's where these numbers came from that are in my request. At the Edenville Township meeting last Wednesday, I asked them for a total of $65,000, and they did approve the payment of that amount for 2 projects we completed at last Wednesday's meeting. So I left them with an address to send the checks, and I have not checked to see if they've arrived yet, but I'm confident that they will. Both Edenville Township and Jerome Township have a number of culvert projects in addition to these shoreline improvement projects. The culvert projects are essentially all places where a privately owned or a road commission or a county drain culvert used to empty directly into the water of the lake, but now it's flowing over a bare lake bottom and eroding it away. We were not planning to ask the adjacent property owners to pay anything for repairing those, because generally that culvert serves a lot of people besides the adjacent property owners, and it didn't seem fair to make just 1 or 2 property owners at the end of the culvert pay for fixing these things. So Four Lakes Task Force was preparing to absorb that cost rather than lay it on the homeowners. If you folks are willing to absorb that cost, which right now looks like just under $17,000, that's a help to us, but it's not one of the things that Mike and I talked about. So that's something you do out of, in a way of helping us beyond what help we've actually asked for at this point. I'd certainly appreciate it. But the main thing we're looking for now is to keep our books balanced, because if we can continue to get property owners to pay either 25% of the cost of repairing the lakeshore in front of their house, or $5,000, whichever is less, then we're going to be able to offer the same deal on these shoreline erosion repair projects to the last project property owner that we do, that we were able to offer to the first project property owner that we're taking care of. And that's my goal, is to treat all the property owners the same. So what I've got here on this list are the 5 projects that I'm aware of that we're going to do in shoreline property erosion repair on Sanford Lake in Jerome Township. You can see that the number of property owners in these 5 projects varies between 2 and 15. The costs vary dramatically as well. It's about $1 million overall bill. We're probably spending a little over $5 million total, about $5.25 million based on our current estimates and the bids we currently have in hand. And I heard Joe about bids don't always come in at your estimates, which is certainly true in our case. But we got a little over $5 million worth of projects we're going to be doing. And Four Lakes Task Force, I'm figuring, is going to have to come up with $1.5 million and $1.75 million based on the estimates I've gotten and the contingency amounts I put in to deal with the repairs of these properties. So what I'm asking for here is, as the letter says, is $155,715 appears to be what we would have been collecting from the property owners before the project. I have to tell you that you're taking a load off of the volunteers who have to go around and have these conversations, because you can imagine that walking up to somebody and saying, yeah, we're ready to fix your property, but because of the cost share, we have to ask you for $5,000 a piece to do it. Those are some real interesting and long conversations. And if we can avoid that, it's a lot easier for us and a lot better for the property owners. So I appreciate your willingness to help, and I'm happy to answer any questions you've got about this program. We're doing probably a total of 40 projects, but we're doing all the big ones first. And we've gone through, I think we've now finished 5 projects completely, and we have 2 more that are just about to start. So we're working 2 at a time. We got 1 crew working on Sanford Lake, 1 crew working on Wixom Lake. Almost all of the projects are being done by Fisher Contracting. We had 1 project on Easy Street up in Edenville Township that was done by Heinz Tree Service, which also has an excavating business. They did a nice job on it. They were the low bidder on that particular project. Fisher's been the low bidder on all the other projects that we're doing. But we're working our way through this, and we hope to have all of our erosion project work, both the culverts and shoreline erosion work, finished up by the end of this calendar year. We'll see how we do getting there, but we're on a pretty good track. We were able to start working back in early November on erosion projects, and we have not stopped during the winter. We only took, I think, 1 or 2 days off when things were so frozen that we actually had trouble working with the materials. But other than that, we've been able to work continuously, even during the period of time when the tobacco side of Wixom Lake was being drawn down and extra water was coming down the river. So we're trying to get this taken care of, and we were very fortunate this spring that we did not have a big runoff. It was a small runoff. It was well controlled. We didn't have any big rains. Not all springs work out that way, but this spring did, and I'm really grateful for that too. So Mike, I don't know if that is a sufficient introduction, but I'm happy to answer any questions people might have.
From the board out there, if they don't have any questions, I want to talk about the drains. Is that all of us have drains in that list? I mean, the village does. Of course, I do. I believe some of those are even drain commission drains. So there is, cost there also, and they belong to us. So it'd be my opinion that we would do the drains also. My initial figures come up that to $182,340. That's correct. If we were to commit to $200,000, that would leave us $28,000. I don't want to say play with, but it's money there to give us a buffer. And then of course, that would bring us up to the commitment I've talked about before of $200,000. So when I brought all this to you, was kind of my idea. Of course, this is a board decision, so I'm just trying to explain what I brought. And it's very nice of Dave to sit here and show all this, because this is exactly what we wanted to spend our money on when we had that public hearing last August. So in my opinion, this is the best bang for our buck we can get right here. So.
Well, to go along with that, Mike, as a representative from the village, yes, we do want to support this. We've had discussions about it. And this seems to be the best way to use these funds that we have, because we're not going to use these funds for weed control for a long time. And this will help get our lakes back. And that's what we're all in this together. I know Jeanette's, representing the whole county. But you represent Jerome, I represent the village, and I would say I would agree with you on your numbers in the proposal that you're thinking of. I would be in agreement with you.
So they of course, the way the weed money came about was from the county, from the townships, from the village, and then from the people also. So
yes,
this is fantastic. I mean, the Four Lakes Task Force doing all this, getting these funds. Now, what we're truthfully doing is we're saving our tax base, because if these houses slide in or become a hazard, they won't sell. So, I don't think this group here, I have to preach much to understand that this is a very good plan. But I just want to make those opinions of mine known, is that the real reason, because I'm worried about my Jerome Township properties that eroding around and nobody wanting to buy that house because there's a possibility it could slide in the river that was never there. Used to be a lake, and that depreciating the value of the properties. So that's really the basis that I use for that, because that Donald Drive project they just did, there was a very good possibility that there was probably 7 houses that were going to slide in the water on that.
Yep.
Without this stabilization.
I went down and looked at that, Mike. Yep. I could actually see that from my Aunt Alice's house.
Yeah, there's some steep banks there, and they were
Yes.
right on the bend of the river. I mean, it wouldn't be good here if they hadn't shored it up. And you can see the cost there. Each one of them homeowners were asked to pay $5,000 a piece. So they put out quite a commitment there. And so that's what we're taking care of with this project. So
Oh, and by the way, I should add that we have collected $5,000 from some property owners around the lake. Our plan is, if we get this payment from you, we're going to return that money to the property owners.
Yes, that's in
There's
your
no reason
cost
for
here,
us to keep
correct? That's included in these costs?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
we're just substituting your money for their money is what we're doing.
Right, exactly. Yeah, oh yeah. And you know, Dave and I have been discussing this for quite a while. And my discussion with Dave was that make sure you know all the projects, because I don't want to come back 6 months from now and say, oh, here's one, and we don't have the funds to support them. So I don't want to leave anybody out there hanging.
So let me tell you about that, Mike.
Yeah.
The NRCS has now closed the book on the number of new projects they're going to be included in the grant request. So that was closed about 2 weeks ago. So there shouldn't be any more new ones coming up for erosion around these lakes.
And as I've discussed before, I'm looking at, I believe my number's right there. We have a $28,000 cushion. If we, a little less than that, but if we commit to 200,000 towards these projects. So basically, I'm down to a motion that, you know, and let me see if I can get this right. And Joe, if you need any correction.
Hold on a sec, Mike, before you make that motion, I just want to clarify the transaction. I think what we want to approve is basically, well, it could be one thing, but we're approving up to 200,000, but as it's requested. And then the second thing would be to approve what we've received in front of us from the Four Lakes. So we don't give them the 200,000 without actually requesting it, you know, the 200,000. They've got requests on the board right now, and that's what we should approve paying for today.
So
but authorizing the 200 in total.
So what I was trying to do, Joe, is I'm not saying that we hand them 200,000. Was that the Sanford Lake Improvement Board approve up to 200,000 in funds to support these projects, and then as they come in, like he said, they just sent a bill and they had all the list of the tax numbers and all that on it, and then at that point you would pay it, so we wouldn't have to come back to this board and keep approving every payment as it came in. So we're going to use that. I know, and that's why I'm asking you, Joe, how I should word that. Use that funding to support these projects, but we're not.
Hi, this is Jeanette.
Yep.
So I have a couple questions and then some statements.
Yep.
So I'm deputy treasurer at Edenville. So I work with the treasurer, and she said, oh, I wish they would have just took it all. So for the treasurer, it might just be easy to cut one check and then Four Lakes get us the appropriate documentation. I don't think they're going to utilize the funds inappropriately, but it's just easier for the treasurer. But that's something, you know, we can discuss too. But I say if we give them the 200,000, they utilize the 155, and then the next time they utilize the next, they can just get us the appropriate funds. So that's just a thought. And
Okay.
then my question is for Dave. So I live in Edenville. So I was one of the property owners that paid up front. And it was interesting to be asked to chip in, because we did it more to be a good neighbor, because the neighbors to the south of us probably would have had more problems than our lot would have. So I'm encouraged to hear that I'm getting possibly some money back. When I called Four Lakes and when I had this conversation, they said, as long as the invoice covers what they think it's going to cover, then I'll get all my money back. So Dave, are you for sure giving the homeowner 100% back? That's one question that I have. And then these future projects you haven't went to these people in Jerome and asked for the money. You're hoping to just go and do it without having to ask like you had to do in Edenville Township. I live in an area where it was really bad. So I think I was number 2 on the list because the homes, it was really bad. So they rated the areas based on severity. So those are my questions and my thoughts.
I'll answer the second question first. We're going to Sunset Way tonight to talk to the owners there and possibly present them with agreements to sign. If you folks approve this, I don't intend to have the conversation with the Sunset Way people about asking them to put 5,000, or actually, what is it, $3,811 a piece into this project. I don't want to have that conversation, and we won't need to if you approve this. With the Donald Drive people that we've already collected money from, my intention is to return 100% of the money they put in, because it was that amount of money that they put in, which is what we needed in the way of help to spread our budget across all of the erosion projects we have to do. So Jeanette, your first question, should you expect to get the money back? My intent is that you will get all of the money back that you put in, and so will everyone else on the Anna Lane, Weeping Willow Lane project. What we needed that amount of money from each of the property owners in order to stretch our budget to cover all of our projects. You folks are helping us by providing that money in the Jerome Township area. Edenville Township's doing the same thing in Edenville Township. So we don't need the homeowners to give us, we don't need any of their money to make our budget work.
So let me clarify though, what Jeanette's talking about has nothing to do with us.
No.
The Anna Lane money does not affect this at all.
No.
So
But I'm just saying it's the same program for both.
Edenville now, not us.
Yep, it's the same program though for both Edenville and Jerome. We intend to return the money that's been deposited for these projects by the individual property owners.
So they're doing the same as what we would be doing. Okay.
That's what we want to do.
That sounds good to keep it the same.
Yep. Well, the fun's going to be when we go up to Wixom Lake and they say, hey, the guys on Sanford Lake didn't have to pay anything. And I'm going to have the conversation, which is, yes. And we talked to our weed improvement board and we didn't get the same answers. So that's why you're getting to pay.
Yeah. So.
And I have, just to add on to that, I have requested with the Wixom Lake Improvement Board to see about having a meeting, just to clarify, because they've got new people at the Drain Commission office there, and if they wanted to go down the same path that we're going down.
And if they choose to do it, just let me know. I did talk to Larry Woodard, and he seemed to indicate that would be an item you folks would discuss, and I'm glad to hear it.
So,
Okay,
Joe,
thank
my
you.
question.
I didn't mean to confuse the situation.
Yeah.
I was talking about, it is pretty standard across the board. And so that's why I wanted to make a point of it. But I didn't want to confuse anybody.
Yep.
We are definitely focusing on Jerome. I
Yep.
support this and think it's a great idea. I support just giving the 200,000 over and then having Four Lakes give us the appropriate paperwork, because they're very detailed and I know they will. So that's just my thought.
Now, does this, is there any issues that you foresee with providing more money than what's actually been requested? Do you see any issues with that at all?
Well, so I think we've got two options. If you're asking me, Joe, I can tell you we have two options at the task force end of this. We can give you back the excess if that's what you prefer. Or we're putting together a $6 million program to remove debris from the Sanford and Wixom lake bottoms, and that's also being sponsored by NRCS. So if you'd rather see the money applied, any excess money applied to the debris removal project, we can do that instead. I will tell you that I'm going to preserve the money you send our way for erosion projects until I know those are all done and paid for.
Yep. So Joe, actually, I'm kind of asking you how would it work? How would it best work for the Drain Commission to handle this?
That's a good question.
Well,
That's what I was thinking too.
Well, I think though, if we only we committed, number one, we committed the 200,000.
Yep.
And number two, that we committed to paying what's been requested. There would be the problem of how you decide then who acts to pay that a next invoice that comes in for the remainder up to the 200,000. So I don't know if we'd have to have another board meeting to pay it. So that could complicate things. I'm not opposed to the 200,000 that we commit being turned over to them when they need it. And that's.
I think in my opinion, Joe, don't you think it'd make it much more simple if we commit the 200,000 to them And then if there's excess money left over, we know what's already committed here. But that extra money, if that goes towards the debris removal of the lake, now we're still working towards the erosion control and the conservation of the lake bottom. And it would still be in our goal to do that.
Yeah, and I think probably I can maybe speak for Four Lakes that having $200,000 committed will get them more grant money
That's what I'm looking at
sooner
too.
than, you know.
Because we're all in the same game, and we know that if we ask for some money, we got to have something to bring to the table.
Okay.
So every one of us in the government agencies, you know, we deal with this all the time, and we understand it. So if they have that out there when they say, "Oh, do you got 25%, or do you have some matching funds?" and they go, "Well, we already have commitment on it."
Yeah.
It just makes it a lot easier.
So I'm still trying to think of how this would work. So we're in emotion is what I'm trying to come up with.
Right.
Is that the Sanford Lake Improvement Board approves $200,000 to be used by the Four Lakes Task Force for shoreline erosion and debris cleanup. Pretty simple.
That sounds pretty simple to me.
Yeah.
And we commit that money to them. I guess we can either cut them a big check or we can wait for them to send invoices. That part of it, I don't know. What would you like to do, Joe?
Well, we already have some in front of us. I think those are basically requests for specific numbers and projects. The remainder, whatever that adds up to, and deducted from the 200,000, that remainder is then what we have to deal with then.
Contingency upon the request. Does that sound right, Joe?
Right.
Well,
We need some type of backup. I can't just do this invoice here and make it for 200,000 when the invoice
Okay.
is only 155.
then
Yeah,
that's
right.
the point that I was getting
All right.
at.
Yeah.
There's a legal or accounting practice that we have to.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm glad you stepped in there, Norma, because
Yeah, that's what I was.
I need
looking
your
for.
help on this.
After this invoice, there would be 44,285 still set aside. And then the next time they submit an invoice, we can pay it from that remaining.
So,
How would you word the motion?
well,
To spend up to 200,000 for shoreline erosion.
We could have two motions. We could have the first one being that the Sanford Lake Improvement Board approves up to $200,000 for, you know, what you had stated the needs were for. And then that would be one motion. And then we would, you know, approve that. The second one is basically, I look at this as almost like an invoice that they've put in front of us. And then we would approve the payment of that. No?
We have somebody that has their hand up also. Which
no,
would be,
I was chewing on my finger. I really wasn't raising my hand.
I'll make that motion that Joe said.
Dude, well, the only problem I have, I'm trying to get
See how I
right here,
did that? Yeah, see how I did that? I make the motion that Joe said.
where did Marcia go? She had her hand up.
She's there. She's just muted.
Yeah, and I can't unmute her for some reason.
Well, let me see if I can.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you
Joe,
can,
only asked to
Yeah.
because it says ask to unmute. So,
Can she type it in a chat to you? We can give her a
yeah,
second.
she did. She asked me if weed money was being used for erosion, and I said yes. A public hearing was held on August 20th, 2020, and it was decided then to use the money collected in 2019 for erosion issues on Sanford Lake.
So is Marcia a public comment?
She
Part of the public?
had her hand up, and I tried to unmute her, and
Okay.
it won't let me unmute her.
Oh, I'm just saying, is she here as the public?
Yes.
Okay, then she'll be able to make them comments coming up shortly.
Yeah.
All right, right now we're trying to address motions.
Well,
So Sanford Lake Improvement Board up to 200,000 for shoreline erosion. And I'm looking at my listing right there. So the first one is called,
Hello,
hello,
this is Marcia.
okay.
Okay.
Are we talking about that money that they took from us for the weeds that we spray?
Yes,
Yes.
That's supposed to be going to erosion only?
Correct.
For Edenville?
Yeah,
No, not for Edenville.
No.
Oh, I
This
thought
is-
Edenville was
no.
giving money.
This is
So
not
this is
Edenville.
Jerome
This is,
Township in the village of Sanford.
yeah.
No,
that's
we had some discussion that included Edenville, but it wasn't really germane to our conversation here.
Oh, because I thought all the money was supposed to be going for erosion.
And that's exactly what it's going to go to for the Sanford Lake area.
Oh, it's supposed to be
Jerome Township.
benefiting everybody on the lake, they said.
No, this is only
Jerome.
for, this is only Jerome Township in
In the village.
Village of Sanford.
Well, Jerome showed, well, I guess Jerome Township did the same thing.
Okay,
We
this
are
is
the
the
board.
Sanford Lake Improvement Board we're discussing now. So
Oh, you're just doing the Sanford, you're not doing Edenville.
Sanford
Correct.
Lake Improvement Board, yes.
Edenville
Oh.
charged for their own weed treatment program. So whatever money they
I
collected,
see.
Edenville,
You had your own program and then you collect from the people.
correct.
Yeah, I talked to Mr. Enos. He told me it was supposed to be going for, they were going to be given, even though he knows it's supposed to be for the weeds, for the aquatic weeds,
Mhm.
they were going to use it for doing the, fixing the lake, around for the people that
Okay.
needed it. So I assume that's where the money was supposed to be going in the first place, instead of charging people $5,000 like you guys were doing,
Correct.
like they were
We
doing.
weren't doing any of that.
No, whoever charged him, I guess it was Fort Lake Task Force that did.
Okay.
So,
So
yeah, I
do
just
you
wanted
have,
to clear, 'cause I know-
Marcia, do you have a comment on whether you are for us using this money to provide it to the Four Lakes Task Force for erosion control?
Well,
Person-
basically, that's what they, when they had that meeting, it was supposed to be for that. They had it was a thing that were by, no, I said no, because it was supposed to be, I had said no, but, they had a meeting for it, and there's supposed to be, everybody, but all but none, but that's not how it went. It was supposed to be, according to law, it's supposed to be going for the spraying of the weeds, not for erosion. But I didn't have a problem. I said, well, I really didn't have a problem since you were going to do it anyways, since they were going to do it anyways down at Edenville. And they did the same thing over in Jerome, because I did talk to Mr. Enos about it. And he said, well, it was too much trouble giving it back to the people, which they should have. And they said, because they had to write checks and they had to pay somebody to write the checks and buy checks and that. So, they would only get back maybe $150 of their money. So they was just going to keep it for erosion. But basically, that's what the law says. It was supposed to be used for weeds and not for erosion. But since the erosion is on there.
But the law stated that we could because it was in our bylaws and when they first put together the Sanford Lake Improvement, it was in there that it could be used for that. And we had to check the laws to make sure that was
Are you
in
talking
there.
about the Michigan compliant laws? You talk about Michigan compliant
Okay,
laws?
can I join in here? We're
Go
not
ahead.
in public comment yet.
Right.
We're still
Well,
trying
that's
to
fine.
conduct
I'm
our
done
business.
because it doesn't really matter what I got to say because you do what you want anyways. It was illegal. What you're doing is illegal anyways, so it don't matter.
No, it's not illegal. We had a public hearing and the attorneys and a resolution was
Well, your
passed. to
attorneys
use it.
don't know anyways because they've been doing
Okay.
this for years, taking money from people when they weren't supposed to. So it
And
don't make
we,
no difference. I'm just letting you know that Michigan compiled law says that you only use it for what it was taken for. It was for weeds, for the spraying of the weeds, not the weeds and that caused by the dam failure. So, but you're taking money from everybody anyways. It doesn't really matter. So it doesn't really matter. You guys do what you want anyways.
We're not taking any money anymore. We have a moratorium that a year ago.
Yeah, I know about
we're
it.
not-
You're not
we're not-
taking any yet.
We're not taking any.
No, you haven't taken it. Yeah, you're a board. No, I know you're just the board. I know who you're talking about. You're just the board. You have nothing to do with Four Lake Task Force.
Okay.
See, I got kind of mixed up about that, but
All
I
right.
just know I know that that's the way it's done there because I called Mr. Enos about it after they had the meeting, and he assured me it is no such, not in exact words, but yeah, he was aware that it was not supposed to be used for erosion. But it was going to be more trouble,
No.
cost. I have to pay somebody to write the checks and all that.
We
So we
have
were just
had,
going to keep everybody's money, but we were going to use it so that it.
Yeah, this discussion occurred already in August
we had
and
a public hearing on that and the board chose to go this route. So we did according to every municipal law out there. So right now, we're in this business of this. We're truly not in public comment yet. So
And there's
if we can get back to the business at hand,
discussion on the board, with the board on how to proceed.
yes, with the motion to approve the request for funds.
Correct.
So we're looking to spend up to 200,000 for the Jerome, well, it really isn't Jerome Township, but it is for the NRCS projects of $155,715 and the culvert projects of, I believe it's 16,625
That's the way I read it.
at this point. So if we want to make a motion for that, so spend up to 200,000 on the erosion projects. At 155,715 and the culvert projects. Of 16,625. So at this point, those are the only two bills we really have. So we're approving up to 200,000, but we do have an invoice for the, I'm trying to help Norma out here, for the 155,715 and the 16,625. So if they come in with another invoice that's under the 200,000, say it's for debris cleanup for $20,000, would that satisfy Norma, that with this motion we have that? And we say, do we have to put anything else in there? Do I have to state debris cleanup or anything like that to get to be able for you to pay it legally? That's what I'm trying to get.
No, you just have to approve the invoice number and for the amount.
Okay, so far we have two invoices. We're going to expend up to 200,000. So one's for that 155,715, the other one's for the 16,625, and then the remainder of that 200,000 will set there until we receive an invoice for that money. Correct?
Correct.
Will that motion work?
Yes.
Okay, so that would be my motion for the Sanford Lake Improvement Board to spend up to $200,000 to the Four Lakes Task Force for erosion control at $155,715 and culvert projects of $16,625. I believe that's a period. Now, if it's not right, help me out here because I'm trying my best to do this.
I would maybe make a motion to approve up to $200,000 for erosion and remediation efforts on Sanford Lake, and then next
So
vote
moved.
and approve the invoices. I can't make it. I'm just,
Oh,
No,
you
I
can-
know. I'm just trying to get the wording correct here because I'm struggling with that. So,
I would call it maybe soil erosion and remediation efforts or something to that effect.
so soil erosion, culvert projects, and debris cleanup.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Let's see, debris.
Okay, so at this point, the Sanford Lake Improvement Board
Because the resolution's for any costs.
commit $200,000 to the Four Lakes Task Force, up Sanford Lake Improvement Board commit
That's what
up to
200,000.
200,000.
200,000 to the
For-
Four Lakes Task Force. I'm trying to write as I do this, for erosion control, culvert projects, and debris cleanup. That would be my motion.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Carl
Now,
Hammond.
Board, are we into discussion some more?
No, I think it sounds great.
Okay. So
Back to Joe.
back to Joe.
Okay, so is there any other public comment though? Did we hear enough in the non-public comment to incorporate it into public comment?
Are we in public comment now?
No, we're still in discussion on a motion.
Oh,
We still have to approve the invoices.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, well, we have to approve that motion. It's on.
Yeah,
the
we're still
floor.
in
Okay.
discussion on the motion and the motion pending for a vote.
okay.
So I don't think there's any more discussion on it, Joe, if you want to go ahead.
Okay. Those in favor? of the motion?
Aye.
Hi.
All right?
Those opposed?
Okay.
Not hearing any, motion has passed.
Okay. I see in our new business, we have a progressive contract because that should take care of the funds.
Right. Well, the progressive was the domain.
We kind of got ahead of ourselves on
We-
that, yeah.
Kind of
All
took
right,
care of
so
that earlier.
we took care of that one.
Yep.
Correct.
And the future of the Sanford Lake Improvement Board, I think that we stay as we are today and meet as necessary.
Correct. That's what
There's really no cost to us staying as a improvement board. It's just
Right.
the county, the village, and the township.
Correct.
Right.
So, and I don't mean to run your program, Joe, but
Well, that's okay.
Okay.
First,
now is there any public comment?
Well, we have Marcia has her hands up again. I've asked her to unmute. I have a Kelly. She continues to ask for their money back. And I explained to her in the chat that we had the public hearing in August. And at that time, it was decided to use it for erosion issues. And she said, yes, but if the property owner was not asked and did not agree, can they get their money returned?
No.
No.
Of course not.
A public hearing was set. If you didn't attend it,
It was public noticed and it was
Correct.
published.
yes.
Everyone was allowed to make their comments at that time.
You're all a bunch of lying cheats.
Jeez.
So we can just go ahead and mute.
Mute Marcia.
So just so everybody knows, public comment time is a time for the public to comment. It's my understanding we don't have to answer any questions at that time.
Yep, that's absolutely correct.
Like what you said, we had the public hearing and that was the time to have comments back and forth. So I just wanted to make sure I said that.
Hi, Kelly.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's why we had the public hearing, so that we. Okay. Okay, everybody was mailed a letter. I have an affidavit here where everybody was mailed a letter. It was published in the newspaper. Yes. Okay, it's my affidavit, a posting, and my affidavit of mailing tells me everybody I mailed to. Well, I send it first class mail. I can't, yeah.
Don't have to send it certified mail.
Yeah, I would have to send certified, like
And you
500,
do not have
600
to notify
letters.
certified mail by law.
No, the PO period has expired. Everybody was mailed a letter.
It was published
Yes.
in several locations.
Sure. And what did you say your last name was? You have to type that. I didn't catch that. Okay, thank you. Not finding her last name on here. Okay. Okay, I mail to the address that is on their tax bill. That's okay. You're welcome. Bye-bye. Okay.
So I think the approval in the last meeting was, we consulted with an attorney on it. It was legitimate action.
Correct.
And I think we have to proceed with our current actions. And if there's anyone that wants to file a complaint or what have they have their right to do that. But we did it under the consultation of legal advice. So
Yes, we did. And Doug, this was before your time, Doug checked into it to make sure that, and we had to find the actual document that was done. And I believe Mike could probably tell me it was, I think in 2000, when that came up with the wording in it to also be another use of that funding. So that was approved way back in 2000. So that's what, 21 years ago?
Yeah, yes, Carl, and like Mike probably is going to say, that's, our group is called Sanford Lake Improvement Board, based on the oversight of those funds that were for Sanford Lake Improvement Board. So that is what the funds were used for, improving the
Sanford Lake.
structure that's there. Yeah, it was
Correct.
thoroughly looked at. And I would just say, thank you, Norma, for discussing it. And if there are any questions, they can FOIA, and, we can send, you can send those things, or however you want to handle that situation.
Yeah, the documents are there.
So the board has conducted themselves exactly according to the act.
Yes.
We had a public hearing. We sent out notices by first class mail. We put it in the paper. That is exactly the way this board has operated every time that we've gone out for a public hearing. So I am confident that we are well within our law of how we've performed ourselves. At that public hearing, we changed the use from weed control to specifically to erosion, stream bank stabilization, and cleanup.
Correct.
So at this point, I have nothing further. This board's made the action to spend up to $200,000. We've stopped the domain costs.
Right.
And we've talked about our future. So I believe we've pretty much done the agenda that we approved to start this meeting.
we actually,
So just one thing from Dave Rothman. So my plan then is, as we get invoices for work on these individual project areas, I'm going to plan to bring in a copy of the invoice and description of the list of the properties that were protected by the work to the Drain Commissioner's office in the Midland County Services Building, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
They basically are going to contact Norma. We've approved funds, and she's going to handle it like she always has. So
We'll get it done.
I'll see you face to face,
I
Norma.
have confidence that she can.
We'll get
handle
it done.
Okay.
So you're, from now on, Dave, basically deal with Norma, please.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a pleasure.
Okay. Well, Joe and I will work through it.
Yep. Well, I don't mean to cut Joe out, but we know who runs the show around here.
Yeah, you look good sitting there, Joe.
Well,
Yeah.
thanks.
I did, yes.
Yes.
Love the smile.
All right, got lost on what we actually voted on in the last, we made the motion, we seconded it.
And
That was on the funds.
So we went into public comment. We're still in public comment, Joe. If there's no other public comment, we should close that out and move on to adjournment.
I don't think there's anything new before us, so. So are we ready for a vote then?
Oh, we already did vote on the motion.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, we voted on the motion.
I'm sorry,
All right.
I have my note.
Yep.
I have Carl and I, my motion, Carl's support, and I have all yes that are present. Of
That's right,
course,
sorry.
Bill is absent.
Wrong part of my vote, my notes.
Yep.
In the future.
Did we need a vote on the future of the SLIB? Do we need a formal vote on that, Norma?
I don't think so because we're not changing anything. We're just meeting as needed.
I don't know if you, from
And
the
there's still-
20-some years plus that I've been on this board, when it first was there was many years that there was no action at the Lake Improvement Board.
I think they were talking about, because we weren't sure what was going to happen with the lakes. If the lakes weren't coming back, then there'd be no reason to have an improvement board. But they are working at bringing the lakes back. So I think that's why it was on the list. We needed an update because it.
And we
really
have
know.
funds in that, so if we were
Correct.
to dissolve, we would have to take care of those funds.
Correct, yes. And they would go to the township, which would go to Fort Lakes.
So, but if you want a motion to continue, Jeanette, go right ahead. I mean, not saying we don't have to.
No, I think I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Oh.
I'll second that.
All right.
All in favor?
It's up to you, Joe.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Yes. Have a great day.
But that is your.
I'm out.
But that is your right.
All right.